The starship Aurora's Edge glided silently through the black velvet of space, its hull reflecting the faint light of distant suns. On board, Captain Lyra Dane adjusted the controls, her eyes scanning the holographic readouts. She had spent her entire career navigating the treacherous voids between star systems, but today felt different. There was a tension in the air, a mixture of excitement and unease that refused to leave her chest. It had started weeks ago, when an emissary from the Zelvan Consortium had sent her a personal invitation. The message promised a new era of cooperation between humans and alien civilizations, a chance to prove that humanity could thrive among the stars, not merely survive. Lyra had almost laughed when she received it. Humans had been pawns in alien politics for decades. Treaties had been broken, alliances had been sabotaged, and countless human colonies had vanished under mysterious circumstances. Yet the opportunity was tempting. She was not alone on the mission. Her crew, hand-picked for skill and loyalty, bustled around the ship's deck. Engineer Kale Myro inspected the propulsion system, muttering about inefficiencies, while navigator Sira Vin adjusted the star charts, plotting their course through a maze of nebulae that could conceal hostile forces. They all trusted Lyra's judgment, though none of them fully understood why she had agreed to this invitation so quickly. "The Zelvan system is beautiful," Sira remarked, her fingers tracing the holographic map projected above the navigation console. "If this is just a political stunt, it's a very extravagant one." She had read reports of civilizations that wore the mask of civility while hiding ruthless ambitions. Perhaps the Zelvans were no different. Days passed in quiet preparation. The Aurora's Edge sailed past asteroid belts and through pockets of cosmic radiation, each moment a test of skill and endurance. Lyra spent much of her time in the observation deck, staring at the stars and wondering how humans had come so far. Centuries ago, humanity had barely left Earth. Now, they were negotiating their place among sentient civilizations whose technologies dwarfed anything human engineers had ever dreamed. And here she was, walking a path that could decide humanity's role in the galaxy. Finally, the Zelvan system emerged from the darkness. A massive planet with swirling blue and green clouds hung like a jewel at the center of the system. Orbiting it were countless structures, enormous space stations, floating cities and starships of various shapes and sizes. The scale was overwhelming. Lyra and her crew approached the largest station, known as the Council Spire. It was a monument of shining metal and crystalline structures, taller than any human city. As they docked, the Aurora's Edge trembled slightly, a reminder of the station's immense gravitational field. "Stay sharp," Lyra said. "We don't know what kind of reception awaits us." Lyra had expected a grand reception, but the reality surpassed her imagination. The chamber was vast, filled with delegates from dozens of species. Some were humanoid, though most were not. Towering beings with translucent skin, creatures that floated instead of walking, and forms that seemed to shimmer like liquid metal, all mingled in a strange harmony. The air thrummed with a quiet energy, a blend of advanced technology and ancient tradition. A Zelvan diplomat approached, his form elegant and precise. His voice was soft but carried a weight that made Lyra straighten. "Welcome, Captain Dane," he said. "We are pleased that humanity has accepted our invitation. You stand on the threshold of history. We are eager to learn and contribute." She had expected tests, negotiations, maybe even challenges, but the language hinted at something more binding. "Of course, we are ready to meet any criteria you set." On it was a holographic display of the entire consortium, planets, stations, fleets, and networks connected by thin beams of light. Lyra could feel the enormity of what she was about to encounter. "You will be asked to sign the Galactic Pact," the diplomat explained. "It is the agreement that ensures trust, cooperation, and mutual respect among all member civilizations. Once signed, it is binding across space and time." One by one, she and her crew were presented with devices that projected their consent into the consortium's records. The holographic interface was beautiful, but the words were unfamiliar, written in a language that translated fluidly into basic human comprehension. It spoke of cooperation, protection, sharing of knowledge, and mutual defense. There was no mention of slavery, subjugation, or harm, but somehow the phrasing was vague, almost too broad. "We are ready," Lyra said finally. "Humanity consents." The scale of the consortium's influence was breathtaking. Lyra realized just how small humanity's footprint had been and how quickly it could grow under the right guidance. After the signing, they were escorted to living quarters aboard the station. The rooms were elegant but functional, with views of the planet below and the endless stars beyond. Lyra stood by the window, reflecting on what had just happened. On the surface, everything seemed positive. They had joined a coalition, gained allies, and opened doors that had been closed for centuries. But beneath the surface, she felt an undercurrent of uncertainty. That evening, Kale approached her quietly. "Do you feel it?" he asked. "Something off." The way they spoke, the pact, it's not just a treaty, there's more to it. "We agreed to join because it seemed beneficial. Are you saying we should back out?" She studied the pact's holographic record, trying to detect nuances that might indicate hidden clauses. The technology was unlike anything she had encountered, capable of monitoring intentions, predicting outcomes, and recording commitments across generations. It was both magnificent and terrifying. Days passed, and the Zelvins began introducing humanity to their ways. Lyra and her crew observed fleet operations, diplomatic negotiations, and cultural rituals. Everywhere they went, humans were met with polite curiosity and cautious respect. Yet Lyra could not shake the feeling that they were being guided, her decisions subtly influenced by the structures and symbols around them. One afternoon, as they toured a research station orbiting a gas giant, a Zelvin scholar approached Lyra. Her form shimmered with soft light, and her voice carried melodic tones that resonated deeply. "Captain Dane," the scholar said, "you must understand that the pact is not only a contract, it is a responsibility. Every choice humanity makes will echo through the consortium. Your species is young, yet potent. Your decisions will shape the balance of power among civilizations. Some are invisible, hidden in opportunities and agreements that seem beneficial at first glance." She resolved to learn everything she could, to understand every nuance of the consortium before making decisions that could affect her entire species. Later that evening, while the station glimmered with the light of 1,000 stars, Lyra walked to the observation deck. She looked at her crew, busy with minor tasks, unaware of the weight she carried. She realized that while humans had often been underestimated, they also had strengths the galaxy had not yet measured: ingenuity, resilience, and an unyielding will to survive and adapt. Somewhere in the distance, a fleet of alien vessels moved in coordinated patterns, a silent dance of power and precision. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Humanity was now part of this dance, not merely as participants, but as potential leaders, innovators, and negotiators. She felt the thrill of possibility and the gnawing fear of responsibility. Tomorrow, the real negotiations would begin. And Lyra knew that while the pact promised collaboration and growth, it also promised trials. Humanity would need to prove itself, not just through technology or firepower, but through cunning, diplomacy, and the very qualities that made them human. As the stars reflected in her eyes, Lyra made a silent vow. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she would ensure that humanity did not merely survive in the galaxy. They would thrive. They would rise. And they would show that the human spirit, when challenged, could achieve feats even the oldest civilizations could not imagine. The morning light of the Zelvin station was soft and iridescent, filtering through crystalline walls and casting 1,000 colors across the deck. Captain Lyra Dane stood at the edge of the observation corridor, her mind heavy with questions. The Galactic Pact had been signed, but the more she observed the Zelvins, the more she realized that nothing about this alliance was simple. Every gesture, every word seemed layered with meaning. Her first meeting of the day was with the consortium's council of strategists. The chamber was vast, more enormous than any human assembly hall, with ceilings that seemed to touch the void itself. Delegates of various species stood in silent rows, their attention fixed on the platform where Lyra and her crew had been led. Some were humanoid, with subtle differences that betrayed centuries of evolution on distant worlds. Others defied human comprehension, beings whose forms shifted like liquid metal or who floated inches above the ground, tethered to the floor only by light beams. The lead strategist, a tall, silver-skinned Zelvin named Chiron, addressed them. "Captain Dane, humanity has entered the consortium at a pivotal time. Our galaxy faces threats not all civilizations perceive. Alliances will be tested and resources will be scarce. Your species has the potential to tip the balance. We understand, and we are prepared to contribute. Humanity has learned much from its own struggles, and we hope to offer insight and skill. You may find that what you think is contribution may be seen differently by others in the consortium." Their strength had always been in thinking differently, But that same trait could clash with centuries-old traditions and carefully calculated plans of alien civilizations. After the briefing, Lyra led her crew to a smaller conference room to discuss what they had just learned. Kale Myro, the engineer, leaned against the wall, frowning. So basically, we're entering a galaxy full of civilizations that might not like us no matter what we do. And if we make a mistake, look at the sectors they control. It's huge. We might be small, but we can think fast. That's our advantage. Aliens may have power, but humans have ingenuity. If we study carefully, if we understand the politics, and if we act wisely, humanity will find a place among the stars, not as pawns, but as equals. Captain Dane, she said, there is an immediate situation requiring your attention. One of the outer colonies under consortium protection has experienced a breach. A human transport vessel is in danger, and your presence may be necessary to mediate. The pact promised cooperation, but now she had to see how humans could perform when lives were at stake. Prepare the crew, she said. We leave immediately. Lyra watched the stars streak past, her mind planning every step. The outer colony, called Torin IV, was a small human settlement with limited defenses. The thought of human lives at risk filled her with determination. Upon arrival, the colony was in chaos. Sensors indicated a swarm of unidentified ships surrounding the perimeter, firing intermittently at defensive turrets. The human colonists were frightened but still organized, having trained for emergency scenarios. Lyra's first priority was to secure them, but she also had to understand who or what was attacking. Scan for life signatures, she ordered. I want to know if these are sentient beings or automated drones. Drones, mechanized attackers controlled remotely, possibly by a distant alien command. The technology was sophisticated, far beyond what most human engineers had seen. Kale muttered under his breath, "They're analyzing every move we make. This isn't just an attack, it's a test." Then let's not give them easy answers. She directed the ship to perform a series of unpredictable maneuvers, evading attacks while creating countermeasures that shielded the colony. It was a careful dance. Too slow, and the colony would be destroyed. Too aggressive, and they could provoke further retaliation. Hours passed as the battle unfolded in the void. Humans on the colony coordinated with the Aurora's edge, using ingenuity to deploy improvised defenses. They projected holographic decoys, jammed communication frequencies, and used the local terrain of asteroids and debris to their advantage. Slowly, the drones began to retreat, unable to predict the humans' unconventional tactics. Finally, silence returned. The colony was safe. Lyra exhaled, a mixture of relief and pride washing over her. This is just the beginning, she said quietly. We've shown that humans can adapt, but there will be more tests, more challenges that push us in ways we haven't imagined. Humanity's response demonstrates creativity and resourcefulness. The consortium values these traits. However, do not assume that the galaxy will always present such clear threats. Some tests are subtle, hidden within alliances, treaties, and negotiations. We will remain vigilant. Yet every time Lyra spoke or suggested a solution, her crew noticed the subtle surprise in the alien delegates' eyes. Humans thought differently. They could see connections others overlooked. One evening, Lyra returned to the observation deck, staring at the galaxy stretched out before her. They think we're small, she murmured to herself. But we have something they don't. Human insight, human courage, human creativity. That's how we'll survive. That's how we'll rise. The pact may bind us, but it does not define us. We define ourselves. Unknown signals were dangerous, but they were also opportunities. Humanity had always thrived in the unknown, turning challenges into triumphs. Plot a course, she commanded. We investigate, carefully, but we investigate. This may be another test, or a chance to show that humans can face the unexpected and prevail. Hours later, the source of the signal revealed itself. A massive, derelict vessel floating in the void, ancient beyond measure. Its hull was scarred and pitted from centuries of cosmic storms, yet it pulsed faintly with energy. Symbols ran along its surface, unreadable by any human device, but familiar in their strange symmetry, alien, yet resonating with some universal logic. Lyra stared at the vessel, a mixture of awe and caution in her eyes. This is it, she said. Whatever this is, it could change everything we know about the galaxy. We have to explore it, but we have to do it wisely. The consortium may not expect humans to take initiative, but we will. Do you think it's abandoned? As they approached, a faint hum filled the hull of the Aurora's edge, the sound almost like a heartbeat. Lyra realized that the galaxy was not simply a place of politics and alliances. It was alive in ways humans had barely begun to understand. And humanity, small and young as it was, had just stepped into the current of forces far greater than themselves. Lyra steadied herself. "Remember, we're humans," she said quietly. "We think, we adapt, we survive, and we rise." In that quiet moment, Lyra knew one thing for certain. Humanity had taken its first true step into the wider galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again. The boarding pods floated silently toward the derelict vessel, their small lights casting long shadows on its scarred hull. Captain Lyra Dane felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with caution. The ship had been drifting for centuries, its purpose unknown, and its technology unlike anything the humans had encountered. Yet the human mind thrived in the unknown, and Lyra's crew was ready to face whatever waited inside. "Pods ready," Sira Vin reported from the lead craft, her voice calm but edged with excitement. "We can dock in 2 minutes. Sensors show the hull is stable enough for boarding." Lyra's heart raced as she initiated the airlock sequence. The hiss of pressurized doors echoed in the quiet of space, a reminder of how small humans were in the vast universe. Inside, the derelict ship was a labyrinth of corridors, dark and silent except for the soft hum of its fading power systems. Its walls were lined with alien symbols that glowed faintly, responding to the humans' presence. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. There was intelligence here, something that had built this vessel and perhaps still lingered within it. "Keep scanning," Lyra ordered. "Kale, make sure none of the systems are volatile. Sira, watch for structural weaknesses. We move carefully, but we move forward." Every turn revealed more of the ship's strange design. Gravity was inconsistent, with certain sections tilting and bending as if the vessel itself had shifted over time. Doors opened and closed without obvious controls, suggesting a technology that responded to thought or intent rather than touch. Suddenly, the floor beneath them vibrated slightly, and a panel in the wall slid open. A soft, melodic tone filled the corridor, harmonizing with the hum of the ship. Lyra's eyes narrowed. This was no ordinary derelict vessel. Whatever this ship had been, it had been alive in some way, its systems integrated with intelligence that humans could barely comprehend. "Do you hear that?" Kale whispered. "It's almost welcoming, but I don't trust it. Stay alert. We don't know if it's a defense mechanism or something else." The chamber pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat, and the air hummed with power. This is incredible," Sira breathed. "It's like the ship itself is alive. But remember, humans have survived worse odds by thinking creatively and acting boldly. You are the first non-council species to reach this vessel. Long have we waited for those capable of understanding. This vessel was built to preserve the knowledge of civilizations that once spanned the galaxy. We observed your kind for many generations, noting your resilience, creativity, and capacity for cooperation. Few species reach the stage where they can comprehend what lies here. But also an opportunity. The galaxy faces challenges that require more than strength or technology. They require understanding, ingenuity, and the will to rise above limitations. You humans have demonstrated these qualities, even in your short time among the stars. That is why you have been allowed to enter this vessel. But what do you expect of us? Yet one bold, thoughtful choice can elevate an entire civilization. Those who can connect with it gain insight that transcends their own time and experience. But those with courage, discipline, and the capacity to think creatively may find solutions to problems that have persisted for millennia. This was their chance to rise, to show that the human spirit could grasp the extraordinary. The Keeper extended a radiant hand toward them. Symbols floated from the heart of understanding, forming patterns that shifted and reformed, each more intricate than the last. If you are ready, you may interface with the heart, but know this, you will face challenges. The knowledge you seek will demand insight, creativity, and cooperation. You will need to think not as individuals, but as humans united. Each member of the crew experienced visions, calculations, strategies, and abstract representations of cosmic phenomena. The information was overwhelming, but Lyra reminded herself of the human capacity to adapt. "Focus on patterns," she instructed Kale and Sira. "Look for connections. We don't need to understand everything at once. We just need to grasp what we can use." Lyra herself glimpsed ways to connect civilizations through cooperation and understanding, ensuring that conflicts could be minimized and progress accelerated. When they emerged from the experience, the chamber was quiet again. The keeper's form shimmered softly. "You have done well. You have demonstrated the qualities we sought: intelligence, creativity, and unity. Humanity is young, yet capable. Remember, knowledge alone is not enough. It must be applied wisely. The galaxy watches, the consortium watches, and now so do we." The crew took a moment to adjust, still feeling the echoes of the heart of understanding within them. As they prepared to leave the vessel, Lyra reflected on what had just happened. Humanity had passed a test that no one outside the derelict ship had even known existed. They had demonstrated ingenuity, teamwork, and insight. This was exactly what HFY was about, not dominance or destruction, but proving that humans could rise above expectations, navigate challenges, and leave a mark on the galaxy. Back aboard the Aurora's Edge, the crew shared their findings and speculations. The knowledge they had gained was immense, but Lyra reminded them that it was a responsibility, not a tool for reckless ambition. "We have learned much," she said, "but the galaxy is vast and the consortium is still watching. We must apply what we've gained carefully, using it to benefit humanity and our allies. That is how we survive and thrive in the stars." Delegates who had once dismissed them now approached with cautious interest, asking questions and seeking advice. Lyra realized that passing the derelict vessel's test had not gone unnoticed. Humans were being recognized not only for their ingenuity, but also for their ability to act responsibly under extraordinary circumstances. In her private quarters, Lyra stared out at the stars. She thought of the heart of understanding, of the knowledge they had absorbed, and of the challenges yet to come. Humanity had risen to the first real test, but the galaxy was full of unknowns, threats, alliances, and discoveries that would continue to shape their destiny. She felt a surge of determination. Humans were small, yes, but they were clever, adaptable, and resilient. They had faced overwhelming odds on Earth and in space, and they would continue to do so. Every choice, every act of insight would ripple across the galaxy, proving that humans could rise above expectations. The derelict vessel had been only the beginning. Lyra knew that even greater challenges lay ahead, challenges that would demand courage, intelligence, and unwavering resolve. But she also knew that humanity was ready. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. They had proven that even a young species could make a difference in the galaxy. And somewhere in the vast expanse of stars, other civilizations were beginning to take notice. The Aurora's Edge glided back into the Zelvan system, the human crew carrying not only the knowledge from the derelict vessel, but also a renewed sense of purpose. Captain Lyra Dane knew that the information they had gained was only as valuable as the decisions they would make with it. The galaxy was vast, and the consortium was watching, but humans had an advantage. Their creativity, adaptability, and courage were tools no alien civilization could easily predict or control. Upon arrival at the council spire, they were greeted not with ceremony but with quiet observation. Delegates lingered in the shadows, exchanging glances and whispers that Lyra could not fully understand. The subtle change in attitude was clear. Humans were no longer insignificant. They had proven themselves capable of tackling challenges that even the oldest civilizations hesitated to face. Chiron, the lead Zelvan strategist, approached Lyra in a corridor, his silver skin reflecting the light of the station. "Captain Dane, your actions at Torin IV and your engagement with the derelict vessel have been noted. Humanity has shown qualities that are rare even among long-established species. But understanding comes not just from knowledge, but from the courage to apply it. You are about to be given an opportunity to do just that." Past attempts at negotiation had failed, and tensions were escalating toward conflict. The Council decided to send humans as neutral mediators, an unexpected choice that left Lyra both honored and wary. "Humans," Sira whispered as they reviewed the mission briefings. "Why us? We're new here. We see patterns that others may overlook. We're not tied to old rivalries or grudges. That's why the Council believes we can succeed where others cannot. Let's do it right." Both planets were technologically advanced, with fleets that could rival human naval power, yet both relied on the very crystals at the center of the dispute. Lyra called a meeting with the planetary representatives upon arrival. The Varans were tall, angular beings with translucent skin that revealed networks of flowing energy beneath. The Thalorians were muscular, with armor-like skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Tension filled the chamber, and Lyra realized the situation was more fragile than she had anticipated. "Greetings," she began. "I am Captain Lyra Dane, representing humanity and the Consortium. We are here not to take sides, but to find a solution that benefits all parties and ensures peace. Our people need the crystals to survive. Without them, our energy systems will fail and many will perish. But there must be a way to satisfy both needs without resorting to conflict. Let us consider alternatives. The derelict vessel we recently explored contained knowledge of energy amplification and resource efficiency far beyond what most civilizations currently use. Perhaps there is a way to apply this knowledge to the crystals, increasing their output so that both of your civilizations can benefit. It could destabilize them and destroy our infrastructure. We have not even known your species long enough to understand your capabilities. If it fails, we will have learned how to adjust and improve together." "Agreed, but any failure will be met with consequences." Kale adapted energy amplification methods from the derelict vessel to the crystals, while Sira coordinated logistics between the planets. Lyra mediated discussions, ensuring that tensions never boiled over into hostility. At first, progress was slow. Misunderstandings and cultural differences threatened to derail the project. The Varans were cautious and precise, unwilling to take risks. The Thalorians were impatient and direct, seeking quick solutions. Lyra had to balance these opposing approaches, using diplomacy and insight to keep both sides engaged. One evening, as the human crew monitored the crystal arrays, Kale called Lyra to the observation deck. "Captain, look at this. The energy amplification is stabilizing far faster than we anticipated. The system is adapting to both planetary conditions simultaneously. It's beautiful." The consortium took notice. Delegates began sending observers, asking questions, and seeking human input on other projects. Lyra understood the significance. Humans were being recognized not only as participants, but as innovators and problem solvers. They were carving a place for themselves among civilizations that had once dismissed them as insignificant. Yet even in success, Lyra sensed the undercurrent of challenge. The galaxy was vast, and not all civilizations would welcome humanity's rise. Every victory brought attention, and attention often brought conflict. As the project concluded successfully, both planets celebrated the collaboration. The crystals now produced double the energy, stabilizing infrastructure and ensuring the survival of both civilizations. Silith and Corin, once rivals, shook hands, a gesture mediated and inspired by humans. Lyra felt pride and relief. Humanity had proven its worth in the first major diplomatic test under the Galactic Pact. They had used knowledge, ingenuity, and courage to solve a problem that could have led to war. And yet she knew this was only the beginning. Back on the Aurora's edge, the crew reflected on the lessons learned. "Humans adapt," Sira said, smiling. "That's our strength, not brute force, not ancient wisdom, but our ability to think differently and work together. And we just proved it to the galaxy." Delegates began to reconsider their assumptions about humanity, recognizing that the species was not to be underestimated. Lyra knew that every human in the consortium would now be watched, tested, and occasionally challenged. But that was the way of the galaxy. For humans, the path forward was clear. Continue to rise, continue to think creatively, and continue to demonstrate that even a young species could achieve greatness. The Galactic Pact was not just an agreement, it was a proving ground. And humanity had passed the first true trials, proving that they were capable of navigating not only the dangers of space, but also the complexities of diplomacy, strategy, and cooperation. As the Aurora's edge departed the planetary system, Lyra felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans had taken what others might see as a minor, uncertain role and transformed it into an opportunity to rise. They had shown that even against more established civilizations, the human spirit, ingenuity, and adaptability could achieve the extraordinary. The stars stretched infinitely before them, full of possibilities, challenges, and adventures yet to come. And Lyra knew with certainty that humanity was ready to meet them all. The Aurora's edge drifted through the quiet expanse of the Zelvan system, but silence in space was never truly peace. Captain Lyra Dane knew this well. Humanity had passed the first tests of the Galactic Pact, survival, exploration, and diplomacy, but the galaxy was full of challenges yet unseen. Every step forward would demand courage, ingenuity, and unity. A call came from the Council spire. The message was brief but urgent. A sudden crisis in the Pirellian cluster. a region known for its unstable star systems and rare resources, threatened multiple civilizations. Several fleets were immobilized by a massive energy storm, and colonies faced shortages of critical supplies. The consortium called for immediate aid, and humans were once again asked to take a central role. Lyra gathered her crew in the command deck. "This is our next challenge," she said. "We've proved we can adapt, negotiate, and innovate. Now we must show the galaxy that humanity can act decisively when lives are at stake. The Pirellian cluster depends on us. We'll need to coordinate with multiple ships at once. Timing will be critical. One miscalculation and a fleet could be destroyed. This is our chance to prove it again." Lyra directed them with precision, using strategies humans had developed on Earth in far more dangerous and unpredictable ways. Hours passed. Lightning-like bursts of energy arced across the void, scattering debris and distorting communication signals. Other ships in the storm sent distress calls, their crews frantic and uncertain. Lyra reminded her team to remain calm. Panic was a luxury humans could not afford. "We've done this before," she said. "Humans adapt. We find solutions where others see only danger. Focus and we'll get them through." Sira coordinated the fleets, communicating through bursts of encoded light signals that bypassed the storm's interference. Lyra guided them all, weaving strategy with intuition, turning the chaos into a manageable challenge. One by one, ships began to emerge from the storm. Crews cheered as they entered calmer space, their confidence in humans growing with every successful rescue. Humanity's ingenuity had saved lives that might otherwise have been lost. Yet the storm was only part of the challenge. As the fleets regrouped, sensors detected an unusual pattern, a massive energy signature moving toward the cluster. It was deliberate, precise, and intelligent, a cosmic phenomenon unlike any natural storm. Lyra's mind raced. Could this be an ancient defense system? Or an alien intelligence reacting to the fleet's presence? "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Lyra ordered. "We need to understand it, not fight blindly." The humans were dealing not just with natural forces, but with a sentient system. "This is incredible," Sira said. "It's like the universe itself is testing us." Humans survive, humans adapt, and humans rise to challenges that seem impossible. Slowly, the intelligent storm pattern began to stabilize, as if recognizing the humans' capability. Kale exhaled. "It's responding to us, it's learning from us." Humans do not just react. We influence, we guide, and we create solutions where none seem possible. Humanity was no longer just a member. It was becoming a force recognized for leadership, ingenuity, and courage. As they returned to the Zelvan system, Lyra reflected on the journey. From the moment they signed the Galactic Pact, humans had faced tests: survival at Tauran IV, exploration of the derelict vessel, diplomacy between rival planets, and now, mastery of a sentient storm. Each trial had demanded the same qualities: intelligence, creativity, teamwork, and determination. Humanity had met each challenge with the very traits that made them unique. In the Council Spire, delegates from across the galaxy approached the humans with newfound respect. Questions were asked, advice sought, and partnerships proposed. Lyra saw a transformation occurring. Where humans had once been underestimated, they were now being trusted, not only for courage but for insight and problem-solving abilities. Chiron approached Lyra privately, his expression serious but approving. "Captain Dane, humanity has surpassed expectations. Your species has shown it can thrive under the most unpredictable circumstances. You have earned not only recognition but influence. The galaxy will be watching closely, and rightly so. And thinking outside the box seems to work better than brute force every time." The galaxy was vast, full of wonders, dangers, and civilizations yet unknown. Humanity had begun to prove itself, but the journey was only starting. The Galactic Pact was not a safety net. It was a proving ground. Every mission, every choice, every act of insight would shape humanity's destiny. She turned to her crew. "We've shown that humans can survive, explore, negotiate, and solve problems beyond imagination. Now we have to continue that path. We rise because we think, because we act, and because we refuse to be limited by expectations." Humanity had already achieved what many thought impossible. They had survived tests that seemed insurmountable, outperformed older civilizations, and gained recognition for traits beyond technology: ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck, Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of pride. Humanity had started as a small, fragile species, barely leaving its home world, yet it had risen to meet the galaxy itself. The trials had been difficult, the challenges immense, but humans had prevailed. And Lyra knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching, and humanity would continue to rise. They would explore new worlds, master new technologies, negotiate complex alliances, and face unknown threats. Each step would test them, but each step would also prove the strength of the human spirit. For the first time in history, humans were not merely participants in the galaxy's affairs, they were shapers of its destiny. And with every act of ingenuity, courage, and unity, they would ensure that humanity's place among the stars was not only secure but extraordinary. Captain Lyra Dane turned from the observation deck, her mind already planning the next mission. The consortium awaited, new challenges were rising, and humans were ready. They had faced the unknown, tamed chaos, and shown the galaxy that a young species could achieve greatness. The Aurora's edge moved forward through the stars, carrying humanity's hope, courage, and determination into the infinite expanse. Every system, every civilization, every star was an opportunity. And humanity would seize each one, proving to the galaxy that even the smallest species could rise above expectation, face the impossible, and leave a legacy written among the stars. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans were not to be underestimated, and humanity had only just begun.